My name is Mayank. I'm one of the PMCs for the project. First of all, thank you so much for joining. Tim, if you want to click to the next slide. Yeah, so as we all know, we are here to discuss the roadmap for 2023, and I got a sneak peek of all the awesome work that is in the plans. And I took a second to say, hey, how did we get here? And I thought it would be, really great for us to kind of take a moment and reflect back on the journey thus far. So just a quick recap. Actually, it's the previous slide, Tim. Yeah, so most of you may know Pinot started at LinkedIn back in 2014-15 timeframe. Open source incubation in Apache 2018. Initially, we had a little bit of a slump to kind of get the momentum going. 2019, we only got 100 members in Slack. 2020 is when some of us fanned out to different areas and started really truly evangelizing, and that's kind of kicked off the community as such with 800 members, 150 contributors in 2020. And then we had the Apache Pinot graduation in 2021, which was really awesome to achieve as well. And that is, in my opinion, kind of like an inflection point. After that, we're just going onwards and upwards. Last year we crossed 3,500 members. If I am doing some fuzzy math, maybe slightly less than 10% of them are actually committing code. That's a huge accomplishment, and lots of logos. So looking back from a tiny team just trying to solve one use case back in 2014-15 at LinkedIn to where we are today, this is really a truly awesome and amazing journey. And I think every one of you who has joined here has a role to play in this. So thank you so much on that. And I feel this is just a inflection point, and the roadmap will tell it for you, how we are going to go upwards and onwards from here, from just one use case to multiple business use cases, industries, and verticals that Pinot is expanding at. So with that, I will give it to Neha to kick off the roadmap discussion.
Awesome. Thanks, Mayank. Very exciting to see the progress that you laid out and where we're going to go from here. So from the roadmap perspective, this is the process we usually follow and what we did this time as well. We sent out a poll. We bootstrapped it a little bit with stuff we knew that we were going to be working on from some of the members of the community. And then this was a chance for people to also add other things that they are going to be working on, and also vote for the features that they thought were most interesting to them. So we had some really good participation here. We had 35 suggestions come in, and also a lot of votes on all of the interesting features. This is like a very good way for us to also know, hey, what is actually interesting? Because we might think that, hey, this is something cool, let's build this. But this input on what actually matters to the community is really valuable. So we kind of saw some high-level themes come up, and we've structured the rest of the presentation in those themes. So we have multi-stage engine got a lot of votes. So particularly making bringing all the joins into Pinot and making them really robust. SQL compatibility was another big theme. Pluggability, we've always been very particular about keeping Pinot pluggable.
Hey, if you're not muted and you're not Neha, if you could please mute. Thank you.
Right. So this pluggability really helps us because we have adoption from so many companies, from so many different places, that this is like a very good way for people to contribute without having to touch a lot of the core parts. And also because if they have something that's very specific to their company or to their stack, this helps. A lot of good features voted on for ingestion enhancements. So some things in upserts, some things in the ingestion engine itself. A lot of great performance enhancements requested. Some of them proposed were in group by, in distinct count. And then other than that, some overall operational improvements in rebalancing, in some better usage of function registries and so on. So for the rest of the presentation, we thought it would be cool if the member from the community who's going to lead that feature just comes and talks for a minute about what what that feature is, why we should care about it, and links to any other design docs so that if you want to go back and look at this later on in detail. So we're going to call each of them one by one. Tim, since you're driving this, in case you need help, the presenter name has been put at the bottom right for each slide. And for everybody coming in, let's try to do this like a show and tell. Let's try to keep it at 1 minute. We have a lot of features to get through. And with that, Tim, I'll hand it over to you to drive the rest of the show and tell.
Thank you, Neha. And yes, I do need help. So I appreciate that being there. So a reminder to the speakers, 1 minute, I'll click you to the next slide when that minute is up. There's a lot of content on the slides. We'll release the slides later. You can't cover everything. So just give like the 60-second elevator pitch version and let them go through all the details later. So with that, we'll start with the multi-stage engine. And Wrong, welcome to the show. You have 1 minute. You have 50 seconds, Wrong. This is going to be an operationally complex meetup.
Yeah, I think Wrong is not on the thing right now.
Okay.
You've been timed out.
He has been timed out. Anyway, V2 engine, obviously a huge thing going on. This is the big idea is to be able to support arbitrary ANSI SQL joins. There's a lot to say about it that we will not say today. And Ankit, are you here?
Yeah. So collocated joins. So what are they? So the main goal with collocated joins is to like skip shuffles whenever possible. So this can allow you to like run queries which have like very large plans. Think of like 30 plus stages, everything being done within the same servers without having to do any fan out or any shuffle or anything like that. So this is fast. This also has a very low overhead, which means that you can do more with less. You can have higher QPS than you would have had. You can also like run much higher concurrency of queries than you would have with shuffles. It's not just limited to joins. You can pair it with dynamic filtering or broker segment pruning. And with those, you can get like as high as 10x kind of speedups for some queries. So, we're really excited about this feature. Internally at Uber, we are rolling it out to production as early as April for one of the big use cases. But in open source, the changes will continue over Q2 as well. And hopefully by the end of Q2, we'll have a final version which is ready to be used in everyone else's production.
Amazing. So, thanks, Ankit. Jackie, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. So I'll be working on the local joins. So local join is a subtopic under the multi-stage engine, and then it's specifically for it's basically the engine support for like accelerate the collocated join that Ankit just mentioned. So the optimization we are shooting for here is we want to try to push down the collocated join down to the project layer. Basically, we want the multi-stage engine to be as performant as the existing like a single stage engine. And then this local join support will be done in the exactly same engine we are running right now. And it will be, so the main benefit for this is it will allow us to push long filters, and then it will significantly reduce the documents that need to be projected.
Thank you, Jackie.
We are shooting for finishing this by first half year of 2023. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, man. Next, we've got, SQL compliance and Yao Liu. You with us?
Yeah. So we are moving towards to be more SQL compliant to improve usability of Pinot. So the first part I'm working on here is to get more compatibility with various subtype support. The first effort is to support now. So we will be support now literal and be SQL compliant now related semantics. Then we will have no more now pointer exceptions, smooth now representation throughout the engine. At the same time, we will support type safe function invocation. So we can have safer operation and more efficient function execution. Yeah, next slide.
Thank you. Sonam.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sonam, and I'm currently working on adding window function support to Pinot via using the multi-stage query engine. Window functions is basically a new advanced SQL functionality, which basically takes multiple input rows, does a calculation and outputs a single output row per input row. Its syntax looks like you have a function clause, which could be either aggregate ranking or value type function, which defines the actual calculation that should be performed, and an over clause that takes some optional arguments such as partition by, which decides how to partition the data, order by, which decides how to order the data within a partition, and a frame clause, which decides which row boundaries to use for each output calculation. This is a complex SQL query, which basically allows users to perform things like sliding window aggregations and things like running totals and rolling averages and things like that. So it's a pretty powerful feature that we're working on adding. We expect the first basic aggregation window functions to be ready by Q2 of this year, after which we plan to add support for rank-based functions, value-based functions, support for sliding window aggregations, and other such features. That's all.
Sonal. That was an excellent summary. That's extremely complex, and that was great in a minute. Jiang Ling, Pagination.
Hi. Yeah, this is Jia Liang. I'm working on the pagination feature. So the pagination feature is to paginate the response over multiple smaller batches as opposed to fetching everything all in one go in a single call and having to absorb the entire response in memory in their code. So the proposed design is already out for review. So as you can see on the left-hand side, this is the proposed protocol to how to submit the submission request and re-request. So the implementation now is in progress, and more pull requests will come in the following weeks. And estimate time will be finished in early Q3 of this year. And the future potential work would be the async query execution for pagination queries and cursor syntax support.
All right. Thank you, Jiang Ling. Yeah, not everything is a count, right? Some queries have more results than a single result.
Yeah.
Gonzalo, are you with us?
Yeah. Hi there. My name is Gonzalo, and I'm working on the index service provider interface. This is a mostly internal feature that will simplify the creation of new indexes, but also the improvements we want to apply on older ones. The only notable change that Pinot users will experience with this feature is, at least in short term, is the introduction of a new way to configure indexes. The idea here is that all single column indexes can be configured in the field config list inside the table config. And we expect this new way to configure indexes to be easier to understand and more expressive. The most important thing to say here is that the configuration is completely optional, and the older way to configure indexes is still going to be supported, and therefore you don't need to modify the table config you already have. Finally, this is almost ready to use feature, and the idea is that this should be included in the next Apache Pinot release. If you want to learn more about this feature, feel free to read the PDP or come to say something on the GitHub issue.
Thank you. I didn't know about this work, as if Pinot wasn't already configurable enough. It's going to get easier with SPI. Connor, you here?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, hi everyone. So I've been working on Spark Connector, which is a component for reading data from Pinot into Spark. So this feature already exists, but recently we have been adding more features, and then we have receiving more feature requests. And then on top of the list has been Spark 3 support. So the interface in Spark has changed considerably between Spark 2 and 3. So we had to do some improvements there. When I was preparing this presentation, actually, this was coming in days, but this is actually just landed. So you can go and try Spark 3 support right now. And this is exciting because it enables new capabilities. I'll touch to them. So one of the other top feature requests is being query options, ability to specify Pinot query options when reading using Spark. So this enables ability to specify things like max execution threads, enable node handling, etc. This
time,
feature,
so we might need to move on from this, but
okay,
awesome stuff. Go ahead.
All right.
Sorry. I hope the 1 minute per isn't giving anybody whiplash, but I love this summary.
Okay.
Sajad, Pauseless consumption. Give us a summary. Is Sajad muted or not with us? All right. This is why we have the slides. I'm going to move on from this one. We can review. You can read slides later. Navina.
Hey everyone, it's Navina from StarTree. So this is about a record deletion in upserts. So it's a little unusual to have deletes in an OLAP table, but Pinot already has upserts, which is a very powerful feature. And where record deletion in upserts makes it more powerful is when we want to support changelog data and directly ingest that into Pinot. So that's what we want to tackle with this work. So I do have a design doc in open source under the issue listed there. So the approach is to use a simple soft delete with a delete marker and kind of maintain the metadata at a segment level about the deleted records. So that's this feature, and hoping to get this done by end of June.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chodu. I'm going to present the TTL of upsert. So this is a feature that will reduce the memory footprint for the upsert feature. So we observe that the memory usage is a little bit high for some of the upsert server because we need to keep the upsert metadata in the memory. So we introduce the TTL to reduce the number of private keys that we store in the upsert metadata, and we also introduce the validoc snapshot to recover the segments that is already out of the TTL. So I have the design doc and GitHub issue link in this page. Please feel free to check it out. The timeline will be, we are doing some POC at Uber in Q1 2023, and we are going to productionize the feature in Q2 2023. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Performance enhancements. Group by improvements. Yao Liu.
Yeah, so as we all know, group by is important operation in analysis. So, and we noticed there's a high latency and low resource utilization when we group by a lot of data, and there's a high contention. So we target to reduce the contention, improve the parallelism, so we can better use the memory and CPU to make group by fast and efficient. So the target ETA is like Q3 2023. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Jia, off heap distinct.
Hi, this is Jia from LinkedIn. So internally, we found that there's a lot of interest around doing distinct and distinct count. So currently, Pinot implement distinct or count as using on-heap sets. So that's create a lot of memory pressure, GC pressure, and it can also cause in the worst situation. So now what we're planning is to implement off-heap hash table to handle these situations with large distinct count queries. And the good side of this is it will be less chance of and we handle larger cardinality columns, and in the future there's a easier support for spilling this execution to the disk for even larger columns, and it can also potentially be used for group by queries. Next slide, please.
Okay, there we are.
Yeah, so another optimization for this is that we do distinct counting a partition way. For example, we have our ID partition to 3 partitions in this case. So we can, for each partition, internally, we can do the distinct count. And for the results, we can just send the count of the distinct values or like disjoint sets of distinct values. So in this case, we can reduce the number of elements sent over the where by a lot, because there will be no duplicates. Everything will be disjoint from each partition. And it will also potentially reduce the merge time and merge footprint on the broker. So this will also be applicable to the V2 engine as this distinct count will also be applicable to multi-stage to levels in the multi-stage engine.
All right, thank you.
So
still keep going.
Yeah, this is a function we are currently working on. Is arcmin max is to, for example, find the folks with the highest salary in their group, and at the meantime also give the average salary and max salary of that group. So this is an function that is that has high interest from the data science team, from people who do a lot of this data analytics, and we have a issue open for this. The current plan is to implement it in V1 engine, and we also want to make it extensible for V2, because although we have CTE, we can do this using CTE in multi-stage. It can be more efficient that we summarize all this into one aggregation function.
Thank you very much.
And, yeah, the ETA is Q2 of this year.
All right, amazing stuff. Vivek.
Hey, so we kickstarted the resiliency effort in mid-2022, and we delivered 2 features in terms of adaptive server selection and query killing. This year, we want to move the needle in terms of workload management and scheduling, and address 2 main problems in this space, which is basically the scheduling algorithm we use in the Pinot servers, and also the problem of a single or a few queries hogging resources unfairly at the server. And we have some ideas in terms of mitigation, which is basically coming up with an intelligent and a smart scheduling scheme, which could factor in priority, cost, and available resources. And the other thing is a notion of query yielding or pause, where a query can give up its resources in order to prioritize other queries. And also resource isolation, where we enforce limits in terms of CPU and memory for queries so that they don't unfairly hog the entire resources on a server. This also brings about some notion of QoS queuing, so that we can to admit queries, so that we can also do early rejection of queries in case the server is overloaded.
This sounds very helpful for queries that I write, so thank you for this.
Yeah.
Ting Chen.
Hi there. So Ting Chen from LinkedIn, from Uber. I used to work at LinkedIn. So
that's awkward.
Yeah, we want to use Pinot to power very large-scale log search. In our opinion, this require both data compression plus fast search. So think about Piper from Pinot, right? So we basically brought in a new modern kind of development in data compression. Last slide, please. I think, yeah, this is a so-called COP compression developed by Whitescope. It actually be used in Uber for Spark log compression. Very impressive compression ratio of almost over 150x. So basically, you can decode data to make it very small, and then from there you can search really, really fast. We have this design doc in GitHub, and then actually we contribute in Q1 the first encoder, which actually can use now to enjoy the kind of compression actually we designed. Actually, we have already built a kind of a POC within our own company. It looks like very promising. And we plan to bring this feature to power all Uber log search in H2 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, some operational improvements. We're not done yet.
Haital from Groovy functions were useful extensions to Pinot built-in functions. However, Groovy scripts is disabled by default for security. Address those security concerns while not disabling Groovy scripts. We want to allow only authorized users to register Groovy functions. Other users, they can have access to those functions. After those functions are registered, users can use them just as built-in functions, either injection config or use them in queries.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, you're done. Wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, so I was going to come back and summarize some of the other things that there were in the poll that we did not cover. But before that, Subbu is here to cover for Sajad. So let's do that slide. And I was able to get wrong. So let's do that slide. Those are the next.
Okay, wrong is awake now. Good. All right. Which
actually, you might have to refresh and reshare.
Yeah, let me just it'll probably be easier to because I didn't see.
Oh, I've put them in the end, so just refreshing.
Ah, okay. Oh, thank you. So Pauseless. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm Subbu. Subbu from LinkedIn. Thanks for including me. Sorry, I joined late. So this is about Pauseless consumption. Pinot at present does not consume events from the real-time system stream while completing these segments. And that completion can sometimes take, multiple minutes. And there are some use cases that are, more sensitive to such delays in getting the events into Pinot. So the approach that we are taking is to see if we can avoid such a pause, maybe start consumption from the same partition in a new child segment and include that child segment in all the queries that is needed by the parent segment. Or that need the parent segment. And once the completion is over and we have committed the existing segment, then the new segment data can be copied over to the data structures that belong in the new segment, or the new segment simply extended. We are trying to see if either of those two approaches work. There are some challenges in all this. There is corner cases, like, partition could move around and some failure conditions during the completion and all that. We're trying to see how to address those. We don't have we have an issue out in the open. Feel free to comment on it, look over it. We are hopefully trying to get a design doc soon that we can then, share with the community. We have a prototype that's working, but it works only in happy path. Clearly, more work needs to be done there. Thanks.
Thank you, Sajad.
Subbu.
And I believe wrong.
Hello, okay. Sorry, I was joining a little bit late. So I'm here to talk a little bit more about the V2 engine improvements. As you guys may already heard from some of the other folks, V2 engine is actually being kind of like a framework enhancement for all of these improvements, such as the window function, paginations, collocated joins, etc., etc. So one of our biggest things I wanted to do is to enhance the framework for it to be much more pluggable for the planner extensions and runtime extensions. We also wanted to unify the runtime operators. For example, right now we have like maybe 2 or 3 copies of the role-based operators here and there. We also wanted to unify them so that when we create one operator for the current V1 engine, like the argmin and argmax, it automatically works for the V2 engine. There are several more enhancements on the framework side, but dedicated to enable the developers to develop much faster and then don't need to think about V1 versus V2. On the query planner side, we're trying to support query hints, so basically hint-based optimizations. We are also want to make sure that the plan optimizer can take those hint-based optimizations to turn them into rules and some other advanced rules, such as like dynamic broadcast, etc., etc. We also wanted to to support pipeline scheduling, which basically means that if a specific stage within the V2 engine is not ready for execute yet, for example, it's waiting for some of the stage to finish, then it actually does not get scheduled or hog up the CPU and memory resources. Last but not least is the partition multi-threading model we wanted to improve. So this one is basically trying to make the V2 engine partition aware. Every one of these stages are basically doing optimizations on how many partitions it is actually taking in, instead of, for example, like how many segments or each server is actually taking in. This way we can improve a lot in terms of like partition goodbyes or partition joins. So this one is will significantly improve the Pickle numbers. We also wanted to uniform the table level partitioning and the query level partitioning together so that we have only one definition and it can be used throughout the entire.
Thank you, Rong, and thanks for being here.
Pretty much for me, yeah.
Awesome. So these were some of the other things in the poll that either there is right now no single person shepherding it, or because they were kind of small things but important enough, so we wanted to call them out. For many of these contributions are welcome and encouraged. So one of them is the system metadata tables. We want to have some tables natively always created in Pinot where we'll get, say, system stats, query stats, and that's going to be really helpful. And we want to get Pinot beyond Java 11 all the way up to Java 17. This time, we're hoping to see a lot more performance improvements because of that. Server level ingestion throttling. That's supposed to be server level ingestion throttling. So we got a contribution last year for table level.
Keep talking.
Okay. For ingestion throttling, which is set at table level. And then we did take that for a spin in many of our clusters. And what we noticed was that while that works great in like a very multi-tenant setup, we're not able to control and get the tuning for that perfect. So we want to enhance this feature to make it at the throttling based on like a tenant level. And in the same spirit, even for rebalancing, we want to introduce like enhance our rebalancing to be tenant aware and be at the tenant level, especially when we have clusters that are having like 50, 100 tables. It's better if we are able to do a rebalance, just tenant-wide rebalance, and have all the tables be aware of each other, or just have some tenant level awareness. Another one, we saw some great proposals for in the upserts area. Another one is compaction for upserts to make it even more efficient. And I did see somebody in the chat already say that they are picking it up, working on it, and they've also linked the design doc here. So that's something interesting to look forward to. There was another point here which I removed because Sean was actually going to come and cover it, but he couldn't make it. He's on a flight. But I see some people asking questions about it, so I'll just briefly cover it. And that's the Pinot Kubernetes operator. So far, Pinot has provided Helm chart support, which in general is serving majority of the needs for Pinot deployment. But we are actually actively developing a Pinot K8 operator, and we do want to open source it this year. And that project will focus on better scaling Pinot up and down without downtime, including in like rebalance and then heterogeneous hardware support for multi-tenant tiered server supports, and also be able to have local SSD support for better performance and just a lot more control beyond just having to operate on Helm charts. So this is some of the other interesting things. Next slide, Tim.
On to Mark.
Hello. Hi, I'm in the advocacy team, Tim's team at StarTree. So we don't build any new features. We try to enthuse the users and explain the features to them. So this is kind of just showing you some of the stuff our team is working on. So you can kind of see from the top, it's sort of more generally explaining to people what exactly is the field, what type of use cases you can use it for. And then sort of as we go down, these are some, there are a mix of content. So some of them are blogs, some of them are blogs and videos. Ideally, I guess both of them are covered, and you can kind of see like we're generally sort of going through the releases, the recent releases of 0.12, 0.11, and sort of covering all the features. And then on the right-hand side, you can kind of see some of the conferences that but these are not me. these are other people in our team who are talking out in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so. So yeah, we are very grateful to all of you for building cool things that we can make content about. And back to Tim.
And it's our job to help people know about new features and understand how to use them. And like Mark said, it's kind of our job to help people be a little bit excited about that stuff too. And Mark works tirelessly on, it has been for the last few months, giving a write-up and a short video about new features in each new release. We've started doing release videos to highlight each new release. We're not quite landing those like in the same week as the release yet, but that's the StarTree DevRel team. You know, we just want people to know about the work that the Pinot team is doing and understand how to be successful. Mark is a guy to watch for that. So the StarTree blog, his stuff will always show up there. Our YouTube channel, Twitter, LinkedIn. I mean, we make a lot of noise. So check it out. And here we are. This is we are done. I'm gonna stop sharing. Anyway, I know that was lightning fast, and if you are a presenter and I helped you move along to maintain the schedule, I hope that wasn't unpleasant, and you can forgive me if that felt bad, but we had so much to cover and we wanted to keep those summaries short and snappy. Just kind of my reaction here is, with all of those short summaries all compressed into 30 minutes like that, there is so much going on. I mean, I said this in the chat, but if I was a real-time analytics database that was not Pinot, I would find all of this very intimidating. I mean, it just seems unstoppable. And I personally, there are things in here that I don't keep up with, right? I kind of keep up with the big things, and I know the significance of the V2 query engine and things like that, but there is so much. And yeah, this is incredible. So this is a product that's going to dominate, and that's clear from the enthusiasm and energy and just the raw technical skill at work here. So yeah, Neha said, we'd love to see this summarized in a blog. So would I. That's a great idea. That is. So if we hit you up and ask you for, 150 words on your slide, that's because we're making that blog post happen if you present it. It's volunteering to present in the roadmap meetup is the gift that keeps on giving. And I know, by the way, for all of you who did those summaries, it's incredibly difficult to keep it that tight. So excellent work. My shameless plug is for the Real-Time Analytics Summit. It is not an exclusively Pinot focused event, but it's very Pinot heavy. That's coming up a month from now. Some of you are speakers there, so but I'm the head of the program committee. I'm responsible for putting all that content together. So I care about it a lot. I think it's a good thing. And very likely you or people you know would be people who benefit from being there. So let me know and find me in Slack. It can be StarTree Community Slack or Pinot Slack. I'm in both places. If you want to go and you don't want to spend as much money as it costs, I'm the guy to talk to. I can help make that a lot lower for you or your team or anybody. So ping me. I would love to see you there. If you care about the content in this event, you're likely to care about the content there. So just check it out. All right. With that, everybody, thank you very much. I want to say a special thank you to Neha for her organizational work on the presentation. And she's really the one who was the energy behind that made it happen. And to Yarden for her organizational energy around making this event happen, like all the meetups that we do here at StarTree. She does an amazing job. So thank you to you two, to everybody who presented, and to everybody who builds Pinot.
Yeah, Neha, you rock. Good job. Your content was so great.
Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for being so good with being very timely about giving the slide and being very, we were so pushy about the 1 minute, but you obliged, and that was a really awesome, great, crisp summary. And I hope we can continue this format for future roadmaps as well.
Yeah, literally everyone who chimed in and did their 1 minute slide just nailed it. So it was a really good meetup. Thanks, y'all.
Bye, everyone.